welcome back for more Minecraft back in 1.12. Because I feel like I've left you on a, not a good hanger, but a hanger itself. But I wanted to at least come back to this and do some progress, and at least show you the progress a bit more, and hope to get more progress than we should. Because what the good part is that we have some amazing things going. Where'd you put the on the other side? Yeah. This would be a pain in the ass to do it anyways. Jesus. Get that done. Sorry to give it there. What was that? Oh, GeForce. Good to know that. I guess it's probably part of the update for update. You got a GeForce update. I'm not doing that right now since I stream. Take me to give it. So, where are we starting off? We're back in 1.12 world, and today, I think we're going back to explain on the smeltery part, right? Gotta redeem shards and all that. Oh, I was gonna smelt it because we need lava. Anyways, back with everything load in, and we're both come back. We're gonna get to on our adventuring with Tinkers. These were Tinkers or more anyways, so let's put that wood back away. I just realized I'm carrying the wood. Wood. But here we're going to show you other parts of the game, Iridium, but also what we need to do next. Couple things really. We need to get casting. Casting is what we need to make more of what we need to upgrade our tools. How is casting? Simply is by getting a thing called getting certain ores, aluminum or copper, if you have those mods installed. But the other way around is getting gold. However, gold is much more expensive because it actually takes one per casting. Aluminum brass is much more cheaper during the early days of Minecraft of this. So we got 12 of 5 aluminum. You're going to smelt that chunk and some copper. Because we need to make aluminum brass. It's what is needed for us to begin the process of it. Oh, wow, it actually has a sound effect. I guess Tinker has added sound effect to it. Not that bad. Without hearing that though, but should not really complain. So, we need a few things for it. Right now we're getting blocks, so we need to make aluminum stuff. Depending on what we get, we got quite a few bit of it all. And now it's turning into molten aluminum brass. It'll take a bit for what we have though. Get turning all aluminum stuff into it, so probably get too much aluminum brass. But we can make all the parts again once again. And that being in every single part. Meaning we need sharpening kit, pickaxe, head, axe, blade, hammer, if we finally get to that part. We need tool, tough. We haven't got the other one yet. We need binding again. We need tough binding, hand guards, and we'll get it for now. We just need these next ones right here. Well, not really all of them, because string is not really multiple. You need the limbs. So while I was still making aluminum brass, quite a bit of that. And we should be finished off with aluminum, right? How much of nuggets? Here we, I think, go. So of all of that, we have nuggets, we have brass. Nature does their own thing, so we need nugget. I'm not gonna waste that goddamn thing for it. Or give it a bit more to even it out, but tell you what we have for. We have 3 stuff. We're actually quite fine with what we have. I just need to get the right casting. So first thing first is a nugget. I'm wasting iridium because I need iridium. Hold on, I'm smelling something. Hold on, be right back. I'm smelling something. Oh, that's why I smell not fresh. This was something. Hmm. Wasn't there. Sorry about that, guys. I was just smelling something that was a bit off. And I guess it just was just the heat. So, as I was going back, we're going back was before, and that's basically explained casting. Besides that interruption. Of course, we get nothing on that. I think we're all set and ready. I need another batch of that. So let's get to it. So how to make castings? Well, always first, make sure your aluminum, brass, or gold is down below, and make a casting. There we go. Now, we're gonna make a casting. A permanent casting means we can actually get rid of all these nuggets out of base, so this we gotta pay attention to your counting, really. There we go. Now we got rid of all the nuggets out of aluminum, brass, but we're not done with copper yet. And there we go. Both of these things are things. Sometimes you get from terms of what mods, but since it's a different off-brand mod of Tinkers, we don't get the MC value of the nuggets. Now we basically got simple things right here: aluminum, brass, and copper. One thing with copper though, if it depends on what we have, I do want to make so we actually get a 4 block as we make our forge. So as of right now, we're going not wasting lava like that. You gotta make a goddamn casting, ingot casting. Now we actually have enough for the ingot casting. Now we can every time get rid of any welcome ingots. However, since ingots are used to this, so this is where the long process begins, really. But once we get one of these things, we have to worry about much of it. I appreciate the sound effects, but I think we're not needed, but guess why not? I'd be working at that anyways, truck, but I guess to show you this process before we bring them back in. There we go. And that's how we get our castings. And now that wasted quite a bit of blocks. Like I said, with aluminum, brass, even though it gives quite a bit more, it costs us 1 ingot. Compared to gold, it costs us 2. Weirdly enough for it. And we need the goddamn stone head. We don't need any of these because these don't require materials. So those are for a separate thing. Which we'll explain that shortly. But as of now, we'll finish up these glass castings, and I'll bring my dog back in, and we can continue on what we're planning to do. Now I want to do one more thing, that's basically making a gear. I can do it with this too. A wooden gear. Actually, I think we need stone for that, I think, correct? Yeah, I think we can actually do it this way. Wooden gear, stone. Since we have Buildcraft installed, we use that. I think you need iron then. And a few of these tricky with this is because sometimes you need iron, sometimes it's stone. But this is how we begin Buildcraft, which is much more simpler, but also not as bad. I'm trying to get the right gear because either it's like stone or iron, depending if the mod implements that. If not, I just made an extra gear for no reason. But you can make gears and plates overall. But as we get to that part with Tinker's constructs. Yep, I needed an iron gear casting. So some recipes require a gear. That's why I made that casting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the one we actually are missing is, I think we're missing iron plate. I think we're missing a plate. Not that plate. That's not in this mod. No, we got regular plates. We don't have. Oh, we do. is copper plates. This is how we get more. And that's smack of a hammer. Which is engineer's hammer, which is iron and sticks. Might as well show you how to get the engineering tool, but this is what we need to smack with a hammer for what we probably need to do. This will be the last gear what we need for now. But that's what we need. Iron plates is another one for it, so give me that. And this is where parts begin with immersive engineering. You can find this by using in villages and all that, or making it, which is not that expensive. Unlike immersive, unlike this hammer, this actually doesn't repair itself. It actually is limited. That's why you make a bunch of those to do so. So we're gonna make a melted case of that. There we go. Now with that said, I will show you, but I'll be right back. I can bring my dog back. We're now back, and we should be all funky dory now. Now you're some this black for it, because I think we don't need much more brass we need now. I think we got all the castings. Except for a few. But you gotta be careful though with aluminum brass. Hello? Aluminum brass I think is not good to mix, especially when you need aluminum. You need to get copper out of there. Give yourself a reinforcement plate modifier, but besides that, maybe am I doing that way? Weirdly enough. Gold or brass? Brass is what I'm most concerned about. Because brass is not as good, and it's just not as molten brass or aluminum brass, I mean. Aluminum brass is what we need, really. Molten aluminum brass, where we are. Aluminum brass actually gives you a diamond tier, actually, which is a shocker. But as this with this mod actually adds much, with this update adds much more. Which is not that bad, it gives you straight to diamond tier if you need a tool. So actually I see why it's useful. For mining speed and get you diamond tier. Not much on extra durability though, but it's good well. Drawstring though, as we get digger, it goes, but we really don't need it. It gets more attack damage, but to make aluminum brass though, like I said, is by alloying copper and aluminum. Aluminum is used to make alloymite, which is an older material from early 1.7.10 Days of Tinkers. That's the problem. If you have copper, it'll become that. If you have obsidian and iron, it will become alloymite, which actually is not that bad. Alloymite is actually one of the next early tools you can get, because it gets you straight to cobalt level before you can mine cobalt. But then before sharpening kits existed, you don't have to. So as of right now, as for aluminum brass wise, we don't need it anymore. But we do need to get rid of this, which I want to make me a proper gear with it. What I mean is that we need to make an iron forge, which requires either a block of iron or some done such. So I think I'm probably gonna drop down 4, but not all of it completely. Probably just give it 4 anyways, because it doubles it. Depending on what the mod is or what it is, but with a smelter rate, it or doubles. So 1 chock becomes 2 and all that stuff. That's if it is like that. As right now, I'm just waiting until we get the right casting. We have 5 ingots, but I was overdid it. But that's why I was going to keep the ingot casting. While I was busy doing that, I'm gonna smelt my iridium shards. That'll take a while. No, I mean, that's brass. Ah, fucker. I mean, don't care. I got this, so. There we go. And now we got iridium. We have 2 ingots of iridium, which is very good. And now beginning to make it melts into copper blocks. There we go. I see 1 more copper. Because 1, it gets me used to make a forge, which would be very essential for our next goals. At least for tool-wise, besides our next goal is to get some progress during the fucking ore production to get space, but that's gonna be a bit. So we'll take that. Now this is what I mean we need those extra seared bricks for. So to get the next 2 up, you need the tool station with this version. And you need seared blocks. Reason why I kept. It takes 3 to make one of these things. And you do that to that, with that, and put the station in the middle. And there we go. Tool forge. You can do it with any block diamonds, depends on what you have, but you need at least 4. Tool forge allows you access to more tools making. The hammer, very useful. And makes you a longbow, short bow, and it makes it much more tools. And the shuriken, which is a really weird one anyways. And a crossbow. Like I said, in there it's a bit more, you get more to it, which is not as bad, and also so now we have a tool forge we can actually go and use it for. We can actually use for all that. But now I'm trying to show you the fun part. So since we got iridium, and then a casting takes, depending on how the mod pack is set up, it can change this quite a bit, but with Tinkers is usually 2 per thing to make 1. While shocking is very essential for this one, but iridium is better, and it's raining. Nice. We want iridium. Molten iridium. There we go. Iridium pickaxe. This will give us that much durability. It's very good. Let the rain pass by. And now we can add this. There we go. Now we got real shocking for we, which is basically power to destroy everything below at least harvest level, which we actually are going to cobalt. So actually any level is actually smite right now. In exchange for depth. So now we actually got more to this one now. And our next one is slimy, or to get firewood, which we actually can make by getting lava, which I actually want to do. Because you need auto smelting, that's why you need to make 2. Because auto smelting is well, depending on what mods you have, it depends on what thing. Because one we have is graphite, and graphite is a bit of an issue. Graphite is used to make what we need, but to get that is by breaking down graphite dust in this one. However, it can be done by liquefied gems or a block of coal. You see where this is going? Because graphite is used in there. You can get it by dust. How do you get dust? Either by crushing it, anyways, or crushing the ores, or pulverizing it. But there's a thing for it. We process there, a bunch more other stuff. It's basically macerating the graphite dust, but the graphite is only done by dust. Or by smelting it out. So by blasting it, it's still the same concept. Because we need dust right now. So we may not need it, but dust is muchly what we need. as far as. Because as of right now we can't. But the only way to get graphite is by a separator, which we don't need right now. Or something like that. But also it's like it's a mix of many things. But graphite, if you have extreme reactors, that boy is gone. Copper is gonna be turned down into graphite, no matter what. So we can make multiple tools. That's the reason why you always go and just want to do. That's multiple tools. Because how it is. Which is always very fascinating. Malleolum, but the other one is Predator. Which basically allows hard snow, basically just mine stone consistently. You can do that, or hit elusive durability having a firewood handle, which basically goes 200 durability, because we have it. Like I said, it depends if you want two different types of pickaxes. You have one that all smelts and one just basically doesn't. It really depends on how you want to do it. But as for me, I think we're probably going to go with auto smelting. So that means I need to get myself some lava. Either go back down to the hole or find some surface lava, which is basically all the surface lava over here. Either go back down to mine and get your lava, or find surface lava, which is mostly priority. But if we get surface lava, we go back to base. But how you diffuse liquids? There's two ways actually a way to get this. If you decide to get obsidian early on, you can do like you can actually make it early by getting water and lava into the drain right here, into the seared drain if you already done it, which makes obsidian, which you can actually get done earlier if you don't have a diamond pickaxe. But as for us, it's going in there. And right now there is how we got a lava bucket. Now for firewood, no luck, you cannot burn that. But yeah, basically you gotta be careful. Some of those can be smelted or not. This was a bit annoying with that. There you go. There's a bunny walking over here. Jesus. But now we got lava, we can actually put it in here. That's how we get lava with fire lava wood. Dropping lava on the wood. There we go. You can use it for decorative all you want, but what we do need it for is blaze powder. It means I want to get some blaze rods for more. As you can tell, it's a bit expensive, but again, we don't have to worry about going to Nether as much. But since I found it early, I can actually do this and make me firewood. There we go. Firewood's what we need to make our tinker tool, our tinker upgrade. As we're doing with this, you can give her a better handle or getting rid of that. The other reason why I say that, because one other material. The reason why I have ecological on, because it actually slowly repairs it slowly over time. It's very good. But like I said, it depends really. But ecological regenerates by himself slowly. That's the reason why I keep a handle of it. That's why it's always the steel head or anything. But I was looking at cobalt. Cobalt, if we have a handle, is lightweight, so it increases our speed dramatically, but also means we have a higher risk of literally breaking and vein mining mistake. Because our current thing right now is up to like 11.52 speed, which is actually quite decently fast, and we can make it faster by getting redstone on it. And the more redstone you have, the faster it goes. Overall, lightweight actually increases overall, but it really is up to interpretation. Auto smelting is what we want. So by losing what we have, we replace it with that, which is basically auto binding. We lose a bit durability because we lose slime. We also get more slime with slimes, but this will also gives us auto smelting. So now every time we mine ore, it gets the ores and it ups it and also doubles it as well by luck. So here's why I want that. Now since we have this much high speed, we're actually quite fine. besides making cobalt. It would probably be nice, but again, if you want to get rid of them, we need to lose 200 durability to give us really cobalt to give us pred armor, which is actually much more effective to do. So it's basically exchange. You lose 200 durability, which is very nice, but also you lose a ring. That's the one thing though. It really depends. Since I chose buying because it doesn't cost much, it gives auto smelting. And if we want to, we're basically using to mine ores no matter what. And especially when we do vein mining, when we do strip mining for resources, we plan to, especially when we go to the deep dark, we're going to need all the stone we can get. That requires goddamn thing. That's why we need our pickaxe. If we want. But the one thing is I don't have any backpacks, so I basically really can't do much basic inventory. Well, that's what you say. We can actually do have a backpack. I can actually do that. Because with this right here, this actually is much more useful than you think. This makes us a alchemical bag. Which basically is another storage. Now, with these also divine rods, it's another way to get early, but it tries to predict where the nearest ore is. It's somewhat useful, but I've not seen use at all for it. And we just need wool, basically, to give our bag, and we're gonna die while we want, since we don't have much of that. So we just go and take care of sheep. We do assume we can make it to that though. Which we're gonna do. We're just gonna get our wool right now. Because then we get that to that. There we go. We're gonna need a bunch of this for later, but actually we quite need a whole lot of this. Why? Because since we're using Galactic Craft power, it requires a bunch of wool. But for us right now, we just need to give ourselves another chest for us, which I want to, because I don't have the. There is a backport for the backpack mod, however, it's very crashy though, the current state of it for 1.12. But I'm thinking of making a chemical bag. So basically, we gotta smelt me 2 stone again, and get the ores all set up again, because I gotta make another alchemy chest. You see why it becomes a bit of an expensive habit. Once you have a condenser and stuff to give to it, your randoms are limitless. There's another way to get EM3 EMC, and that's by energy collectors and making a relay. That's when we explain when we want to go dive into that. That's a bit more complicated, but it's not as bad, but it can be. So I don't want to dive into that just yet for that. So I want to get everything up on my alchemical bag for it, so we can actually go down and do so. And now, since I've actually have auto smelt, I can actually smelt the cobblestone back into it. Or use a phosphorus stone, but I can do this now. There we go. Since I have auto smelt, I can actually smelt the stone into this. And there's a bit of durability, but that's expected. But as of right now, I got everything we need to start with, except for a chest yet, before I forgot about it. I need a chest. Whoopsies. There we go. I need 5 diamonds. I shouldn't need that much diamonds at all. What the fuck? I'm only building an condenser. Building a fucking alchemical thing. What the hell? I just need the fucking one. I'm thinking about building an condenser. Not yet. I don't want to build another wasting condenser yet. Jesus. I don't want an condenser yet. Always get these two around. Even though my only time to do is just always these two to fuck around with. Okay, so now we got that. Put these guys back. We can now do this. Since we have that now, I can do this, and now, voila! A chemical bag. We got just a bit more storage. These are actually the early days of storage, as you can tell. See? Bit more storage, but not too much, but it's just enough storage for anything, really. And as of right now, I think we don't need too much things around. Might have a bucket again to get lava. Right. Make firewood. Right. So I was figuring out what I'm doing at times. Why the rest done? If I want to make it faster, if I want to make it faster, I'd rather not. I do want to make Malayalam though. You want to go that far yet? Which is very much more nice to do so. Because Malayalam requires Ardite and Cobalt. But I also want to make a goddamn hammer, and hammer requires 8 of each things. So it depends what we want to do, really. I want to make an art pickaxe. Oh, I want to make an art pickaxe. Because one, we get an art pickaxe, I can actually do that. But since I have all smelting, I think let's do something with that. Because we want to go to deep dark, which is basically just old stone. You gotta keep mining until you find it. And a hammer can make it quite better. However, you gotta move your thing down though. Good for strip mining though, but strip mining in this one with the cave mod is quite a bit hassling. Depends really. But I guess we can basically double our ores, all of our ores right now. Right, let's make sharpening. Right, I want to make sharpening. Right, is it gonna smell tungsten? Oh yeah, it's tungsten. As you can tell, you can actually get diving deep into these things, really. Refined iron. Tungsten wise, it gives me 11 attack damage. It's very deadly, but it doesn't give me much of like a special build, like a special trait. It's like Insatiable does. Because Insatiable deal more damage and also gives us more durability. But if you have Cobalt, you do have this one. You have Savage, basically give yourself extra. See why it is a bit more fun to it? So if we're gonna go that route, it's gonna take how many to make one blade? It's gonna take 2. So we basically need to smelt 1 tungsten. Smelt 1 tungsten to get that blade. And we need Ardite. We need both Malayalam, which is basically it's 1 of each, really. Actually, it's 1 of each, since each comes to 2. It's been a simple bit more mathematical, but that's how. But yeah, that's if it depends if the mod creator is actually edited what you can do in it, though. And as for lava side of things, you can't get these out just by basically draining it into those random things and breaking the blocks to get it cleared out. So tungsten, Ardite, and Cobalt will give myself Ardite. And begin that. I hope you guys are enjoying this thing. 1.12 is a special thing for mods and all that, but also a bit more complicated, especially when you get to Galactic Craft. But the Galactic Craft side of things, it's a bit more chaotic, but it's not as bad. If you played Ad Astral, which is the equivalent successor to Galactic Craft, you probably get the idea how to do it. But for us, we're using Galactic Craft and these additions. So to get everything we need a generator, which requires coal and aluminum wire. The reason why we need a bunch of aluminum is because we need aluminum and wool. This is the reason why I expressed that too much about that. Because we need a compressor, which needs a basic wafer. A basic wafer requires ceramic fabrication, requires diamonds, and silicon, raw silicon, redstone to get in torches. Requires aluminum stuff, as you might expect, and aluminum. The reason why aluminum is very needed, as once you got it, then you got to make the compressor. But you make the electric compressor, as the next goes automatically. This way, you actually give the fuel, which is actually much more cheaper, but not as effective. Effective as electric compressor. You still need to make it to make steel, which the compressor is there, and all of that, and compressed tin and advanced wafer. This one is power without power, but you need to start with what we got. Then you got all this stuff right here. Some I know, some I do not know. Some goes up higher and all of that. But once you begin a build your own moon base, you're gonna need quite a bit. You need this stuff right here. Or refinery, fuel loader, cargo loader, unloader, and NASA. But you can actually make a bubble to keep your oxygen in place, and collect oxygen, and compressor, decompressor. Unique Kalenia Bubble Distributor. I think it's required. It's been a long time since I did with this. But you need to make a sealable area of venting to get, so you can hold it in place. Because seal, oxygen sealer. This is why it's used to give yourself breathe into outer space, or a space station. But you need to make any of this stuff to keep it in play, which basically requires that and a tin wall block. Either by stone and compressed tin to give you that. Because if you get all that, you need all this to keep it in your bubble. Like I said, it's a bunch of steel. But how we get a rocket ship, we need to make a NASA workbench. Now, a workbench is actually used to make your rockets. And as you can see, it gets more expensive. To make our first rocket, we need this, which basically requires compressed steel, aluminum, and bronze. You need 2 each. You see why it's very expensive. That requires a bunch of that. Then you gotta go to rocket fins, requires that too, and steel. And fin requires more steel and tin clusters. See what I mean? It's very expensive for steel wise, which requires to get us a bunch of iron. We can either mine it or automate it by using a quarry and all that to give us a find ore and do a whole storage thing for it to get to space. That's why I have charcoal pit to get all the stuff we need for that. And now it looks like we got everything all set and ready here. Now we got quite a bit. Molten tungsten is what I need for the blade. Tungsten's being made for that to a blade. We have aluminium. The reason why I want to add that is because we need to give ourselves a thing for it. And requires a guard, which is basically 1 per thing, and we use them to condense it, or at least have it anyways. And if we want to save it, we want to save that ingot, so. Do we need anything else though? I just want to make an axe, but I think we don't really need to. I'll take it and make an ingot out of it. Well, it has some EMCs, so we actually gotta do more with it. But we have a spare anyways. So let's go upgrade our tool. Our sword. And we basically shove that in there. I do so like so. Now we got a cold-blooded tungsten damage. That's just basically sharpening right now. By losing that, maneuver exchange for that. Tungsten longsword. Now we do 15 over that, and we do more damage. Because we don't have a trait, we get that. We can make it even better. Let's get a block of this. And get some sharpening kit, make some quartz. So what does this do? Well, you increase sharpening by that and make it more sharper. However, as with redstone, what if you not know redstone and sharpening, it counts a modifier. So you gotta be cautious how you want to do it. To get more sharpening, you need more to cut with. And see the map. So we basically take 18 per thing, and I take more damage when we do so. Because right now we're doing freaking 18 a slice with this blade. You can push it to freaking 20, but it's not going to get much more higher than that. But we can actually do more with emeralds, but emeralds is really not much, very expensive. Emeralds can double the modifier for it, so let's explain the modifier side of things probably. As I probably explain over time, haste is what increases it multiple levels, but it causes the modifier to increase more speed. Luck, as I probably showed you last time, increases that. However, you can't have Silk Touch and Luck together. I mean, choose one. Diamond gives you a minor increase of stats and all of that for it. If it increases 50% of it. Fortification-wise is what we used for our pickaxe. So you don't have to consistently make a better pickaxe over and over. You can keep it what you have and do so. Auto smelt with what I have is what I got. Reinforce, that consumes durability and stacks previous load, so you increase more reinforcement, however it counts as a modifier. Beheading increases the heading, but what we do want is hurts the undead, which is smite. And we want that. Which requires graveyard soil, which is round flesh and bone meal and dirt. It can be added multiple modifiers. So now we can add that to our tungsten, like so, to add more damage to the undead. We'll instantly kill them. But we need one of each for it. So we think we don't have any round flesh with me because it's turned to leather. So we can't really use that right now until we get like the undead parts thing. Which we need to get like current soil or like this, the graveyard soil. Which requires round flesh, either by dropping by the undead or finding stuff and such. Is what we need to get that in over there. And bone meal, well, is basically if I'm killing skeletons for bones. Which I think I don't have much of it. I do not. But that explains that. But I want to do a bit more with Tinkers right now before we begin all the technical stuff. And that because I need a bow. A bow is what we want, and that needs to require string and all that. Bows are a different side of things from modifiers. This maps you spider and sets it on fire. Here's the reason why. That's the reason why you have like blaze powder for. You can set them on fire. Necrotic, if you kill a wither skeleton, you get hand against healing you. Knockback increases knockback. Soulbound doesn't remain with you permanently. Melting moss. Well, melting moss is another way to heal your thing. However, it requires you to get the XP. It uses XP from melting moss. Which we can do, we can make on here if we want to, so because we're getting XP and all that. However, like as I said, it only heals when you level up. That's why Melting Moss was not as popular as it used to be. Before explaining that, before I went down that tangent, blasting breaks more, plays the light source, causes durability. Sulking slows down. Finn's actually mixing Norse water, makes more water easy. That's if you kill a goddamn head. Garnito. Busting the pirates. Basically, reason why that's in because as you can tell, your blade becomes much with it. But I personally like it because it makes it looks nice. Now, as I explained, we basically got what we need. But it's actually time for bow materials. Yeah, bow materials is a different type of thing. You can make material out of bow. There's a reason why you need to have a thing for that. And as you progress, you need to pay attention to the stats precisely. Why? Because each bow has a certain material, and we're going to go from electric steel. It tells you how much damage you would do per hit. Vibrant alloy, and also how fast it can draw. As you can tell, things get a little nuts with it. Dark steel, we did have dark steel, but I think it requires 2 per thing. but there's really not much we can do with that. Stone is stone. Cactus. Obsidian is obsidian. As you can tell, there's a bit more stuff to it. Damage bonus in there, but you need to find the right smite to kill him. Night slime is another one, but it's really not much you can do with that. Green slime, slime. Melee actually is bad. Alamite's actually good with this one, because it does 18 damage per hit. However, that's most of the time. Hellish does more damage than we need for non-nether. Like I say, area retention, you only got 2 of these things. Really. You get bronze, you get 6% per damage. Steel is another one's be a good one used for steel, because it's stiff, but also does that much bonus damage per hit per thing. Because that's actually consistently hitting them with it. And some of these are not as bad. Invar, you can make Invar. And aluminum, like I said, it's a bit of a more of a chaotic with bows, but it's much more understand when you have it. So what we're going to use with our bow, we don't have any of those until we get like any of those, which we could, but really can't make any of that. Advanced alloy is much more complicated. Tungsten actually does 9.5 damage, which actually is a bit higher. However, the range is increased, but the draw speed's a bit there. But this one right here, Curse, does 12 per hit. That's why it's so good to grab. Flux, if you make it to Flux, you get that much damage. Which is actually a bit fair, but to get Flux is a bit of a different one. Well, Flux is actually not that bad, however, it's a bit more complicated, really. Not as complicated. It's been a while, but I think it's not as bad. But again, with Apply Logistics, it's much more of a storage thing. But you actually need to make crystals with that thing, but it's much more deeper into the bit for that. But as I was going, pure crystals is much more pain. But not really, so that's actually because we want to start doing flux block, which requires flux crystals. Flux crystals is by dropping a charged Certus quartz, which is basically what they have, and another and redstone into a puddle next to another, which is not as bad as you think, but it's a bit more of a tedious pain in the ass. But that's how you get a bunch of flux crystals, and flux crystals down this path of Applied Logistics. Oh yeah, it's very complicated. That's when we get in that part. I got some part far with it, but I never really got that far in my entire life playing Applied Logistics. I never really got far in depth with it. But so we need quartz and redstone, which we have right here. We actually want to drop this with how many charge? We have roughly like 10, so we only do 5. I want to do 5. Because the fine charge is by underground, or making a cranker, a charge that makes you charges them manually. That's how you get them. So we need that. We have redstone right at the gate, and we just need water. Oh yeah, I need that. And that. So we gotta do this in the same time frame. I can't exactly remember, but we'll see how this goes. So we gotta put it next to a puddle and wait for a minute. It's been a while, but I think you gotta put this in there or something like that. As we come ready, if it comes with it, there we go. 2%, and we got 10 flux crystals, which you actually can condense to get more back. Like I said, it's not as bad, but it's a bit annoyance. But you're going to explore the real depth that can go, though. I mean, it goes very deep. You decide to go down into Applied Logistics. But now we got flux crystals, so we can actually make a bow. So we need a bowstring, which requires a bow limb. bow limbs can be done like this one, which basically gives us this, and we do attack 14 per hit. Bonus down on the bow, which we want because it actually does it more than that. Now to get bowstring. Bowstrings is not as bad, but for bowstrings, you can get it by finding like Sorium, Strain, or Vines. Each have their own thing, but it depends on what you want to do with a strain modifier. Really, it's not really much. Depends what you want with it. Doesn't do much at all. Rubber is much more because it gets 2-point modifiers, which is about by going with immersive. I think we could probably make that. I think we can make that. Before I explain that, arrow shafts we can't use regular arrows. We need custom Tinker's arrows. And each of these fiends have a certain amount of bonus ammo. This one is reeds, it's basically breakable. It breaks, however, you get much more ammo out of the thing. You get it by going by ice ammo, but it doesn't do much with it. The fletching. No, that's a different story. The fletching is how accurate the thing is, according to the things. Accuracy and all that becomes what you want to do. And it makes sense to feather, and it's basically feathers. So we can go around and do this. So we got the string, we need to get string, which is basically making a tree tapper, which we need rubber, which I want to get rubber. To get rubber is actually, you need to find some certain trees. We are near, you actually don't have to, but to get them, you need to make yourself a good old tree tapper. If you understand industrial craft, this is how you do it. It's an annoyance, but it's how it works. So where can you find rubber trees? Rubber trees can be anywhere in the forest. And it's very most common in swamps. But you can tell by the tree height itself. Unless like with bow energy, it's probably different. But rubber trees have a certain look with them. They actually have 2 extra leaves pointing on top of them, as you tell when it's actually a rubber tree. But as for us, we're in a bunch of forests. We're basically looking for forests like anything else, really. Unless we find a swampland, but we doubt we'll find a swampland. And sometimes they spawn around, but as for what we have, it's basically going around the forest trying to find a goddamn rubber tree. Which you need to get saplings to make a rubber tree and farm and all of that stuff. It's a bit of a tedious, but again, this is how. But also using a custom biogen. Reason why? Because they have more stuff with it. But if we would have to find. But if you would have like saying like you would have find it, you basically have to look around like a fucking maniac for trees like this. That's why swamp imps are always popular with them for some reason. Never understood it. But that's why you basically are wandering around aimlessly in a forest just trying to find a certain top with a 2-top extra leaf on top. It's been around, but it's basically just what you're doing to find rubber. Which we need to make for and begin industrial craft stuff, so it's worth doing this now actually. Right here, that's what I mean, since by luck, this is how you tell a rubber tree. Either you have this or you have this. It looks like a regular tree with extra 2 leaves on top. Sometimes you spawn together, sometimes you get multiple, sometimes just one. And we got one right here. I hear a zombie. And I got red flame, we got flesh, so we just need to kill a spider, we need to kill the thing. So now we begin our rubber tree. The best way to get this early on, if you find these, is basically stripping it. Breaking the 2 leaves in the corner so they can actually drop the leaves, because rubber actually is built on the bark, however it's also hidden. That's basically this right there. However, to get it, you actually need to like break down the leaves and all that stuff for it. It's how old Tinker stuff was all. That's how industrial craft worked like that. And that's just by learning by the old through years of watching of the Yogscast. And now that comes down. Saplings do not come drawn with these fuckers, so they're hard to get, but once you get them, you'll be all good. Since we have 2 trees right here, it makes sense to get them 2 while we can. Basically, we got right here, basically. Nothing out of this one, besides the one. You can tell the reason why it's a bit hard for it. But as of right now, basically what we got here. That's how you get rubber. It's not that bad. And you get sticky sapling, which basically is used to smelt it. It's used to actually smelt it in the furnace to give you rubber. And now basically just yank this away. And this can actually use rubber woods as another wood, but it's also not very effective for some reason. So it turns into jungle wood. But reason why you want to also get this, because if you follow down the path of industrial craft, you can actually find a furnace in here, or is it an extractor to use for industrial craft, and you actually get a rubber by itself from the tree. That's why you build like a tree farm and all, like a rubber farm for it. But since it's not that, we gotta do it like this. That's when forestry comes in hand. Forestry has been a long ass time since I played forestry. Forestry allows you to build a plantation, and except you can put it in there, it does all the work for you. Same as other some mods, but this one, forestry became popular for it. We got 2 out of that. You can tell the reason why rubber is not easy to get by this, because that's why. And we got 2 out of that. Oh, there they are. Ow. Oh, we got some rubber out of that, which is good. But mind you, these guys can spawn anywhere in the goddamn thing. And also, one thing to note, you can also have a chance to have it drop from the logs. Which is not ideal, but again, that's how it is. But that's why you prefer to go use a tapper. Tappers also don't have much durability, but since I have as I have this, it actually repairs it, so I didn't worry about that as much. So we got that rubber and that, but now we actually make some rubber by smelting. Now you find a skeleton. For bone meal, I can actually have a smite. So I can actually find smite. Let's see if we can find any skeletons roaming around. Doubt it. I need you though. Oh yeah, if you have like a fire thing or something like that, it actually makes them fire. But the reason why I need a feather. The reason why I need a feather for that. But as always, people always try to light the damn livestock on fire for it, because it cooks their meat right then for them. An interesting little hack for that. But we got 2 feathers now, so we don't worry about that. There's venison. Looks like we have no freaking skeleton. That means we have to go into the underground to find a skeleton boy. But I want to make my bow first, and explain that. And we will begin that. Actually, go back down there now, see if we can find any skeletons. Think of it now. Boing, 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 boing. Here's the reason why I want like the slime boots more. And we're in a light area, so we can't really find that. Let's see if we can actually find a skeleton roaming around. I doubt it. I got basically find me skeletons. Until like I even find a proper goddamn like a material, we'll be doing fine. But as of right now, our base is just going on a limb here. Our base is just trying to explore to find a skeleton. Let's explore a good portion of these caves. Even though there's so many of them, it gets very, very obnoxious. Put it lightly. Wish you need to go into the dark spot for that. Reason I'm not lining this area up right because I'm busy looking for a skeleton. Needs to be in a dark area for him. Looks like a water drop there. There you are. Where the fuck looks like a mimic? There you go. Nope, I don't want that. There you go. Give me a bone. There we go. Got what I needed. At least we get some more bone because we're gonna need to beat a bit of that. So might as well go to town. I guess instant kill these fuckers. Watch the natural gas though. Oh, because there. You be careful with the natural gas. That fucker is bad. Ooh. Okay, so we got a bow. We got actually piston hands, which don't even need. I got a magna hand. But I got me rotten flesh, I got me bones, and we're good. We actually just go back and get back to base now. There we go. Now we got basically what we need to do so. Alright. Now I basically put the bone away. We actually need one. We can dense of our shit. Do 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 do. There we go. We got the graveyard soil. And basically condense that, and then we got smite. Actually, I probably should save that. I should just turn to smite first. But good, you probably should have done that first. Now I got rubber. That's what I meant. And there's the undead. That's what we want. There we go. 30,000 for it, but it's worth it because it gives us smite. And basically, add smite. It does that much damage to the undead, and you can add more to multiple levels. Like I said, it causes modifiers. Back in the day, you had some things that gives you modifiers, but also sometimes mix it here and there. Basically, right now. Because I can give myself right now and give myself extra durability, but we can't really do that until we find our emerald. But we gotta ranking up our sword to give ourselves another modifier. I can do this right now. I give us some higher smite, so we actually do 14 damage of the undead, plus the 18 normally. Or I can give us the sharpening and see if it hits 20. Doubt it. And then you can do instant 20 hit on damage. But since we're doing it, it's much more makes sense to get for the undead. Because now we do that much damage. And the reason why people like to hide their stuff like this because you see it's a bit weird. Because that's how the modifiers look like that. So I prefer it. So it makes sense. It's annoying, but it does that much damage to goddamn undead plus my goddamn like a to sharpen. Oh, it instantly kills them. Quite a bit. Now we got everything we need to make the fletching. We get our bows. I need that because we're gonna need that for later. So we need to make the string. The string requires one material for it, which requires bowstring, which I have for rubber. That's why I got that, because of rubber. Rubber doesn't have much durability to it compared to string, but also gives us more on that. But since that's also default. Which actually does well, and that's how we get our rubber. Rubber is used to make other stuff, but we don't have to use access to that right now. Actually, I'll show you the comparison right now. I'll show you. One modifier per bowstring. I guess like that. This adds 2-point modifiers. Now when you make the fletching. Fletching requires 2. You just put your feathers and there we go. Only need 1 per thing. Like I said, it depends on what things, but it gives you more accuracy. It just makes sense. I understand the reason why you don't need other ones. My opinion. But that's how that works. Now we need to get our bow, which we actually need to make a part, but also need to make a arrow shaft, which requires 1, actually requires 2. Because it's breakable, but it gives us bonus ammo. Here we go. Now we need this. Now we need an arrowhead. Arrowhead is actually what we need to arrow shaft, fletching, the bowstring, the bow for the arrowhead. The head itself is actually more on the regular modifier tools because it's a head. So that means you gotta work on this one. It makes sense to do so by, like I said, basically going to melee on them because it does that much attack damage. But since we have flux and all that, and we want more damage, we want to use our things. But this way, if you have a play logistics, I think it requires 2, honestly. It requires 2 because it makes an arrowhead. Because it's a head. So that's why you get this. So if you get that much damage, and you get charge. Now we can actually make our bow, which basically has that, to that, to that, and there we go. As you tell, ammo is how much this has, but it's also counts durability, ironically. But having that, we actually do freaking 13 damage per thing. That's why you need smite or sharpening. Sharpening increases durability and damage output. But now we can actually make a short bow. And there we go. Short bow, that's how much string it takes. And it does that much damage. Plus this makes this 24 damage per hit. You actually mix and match the bow. You actually have one side actually does extra damage, and the other side doing the reason I chose flux is because I did so. But if I chose other one, I'll get that damage as well. So I actually got actually a lot up on freaking materials, really. Probably just put my search quartz in. Do I even want to place that quartz? Sometimes I do. We don't need that. No, again, it's bad. I guess you have iridium. But overall, it's not really much you can do about that. There's a smell again. Be right back. sorry again. There's like something smells like it's shit, but it's a bit difficult. Anyways, you got a bow. You're all set. It's actually a head. That's why it's piercing. That's why we want to get tungsten. It does more damage and all that stuff and more durability. As such, for to gain more durability, you have to use that bow to kill someone with that. Or find it to add modifiers to it. But in our case, we really don't have to do much about that. Except for the bow, but again, first thing is just not much about it anyways. So overall, what are we doing first? Well, we have the dirt, we can do some piercing. And sharpening. Flux crystal bow does that much damage, but also does there. Durability wise, we want to have more durability wise. We'll see. Because it gives us more damage to output. Also increases our attack damage quite a bit too by having diamond. Now, if we had emerald, it would be higher. But since we do not, we do that. Now we can add more, we can do much on the undead, but I think it's really not, that's basically the bow we're doing. Increase more haste to make it core quicker. But honestly, we're gonna do much. We're gonna add fire, but that's mostly really not much you can do about it. Maybe melting moss, but melting moss itself is its own thing. Maybe do some modifiers later. But really not much. But the arrow is what we need mostly. Because it increases the ammo count by that, because the space count is their ability. Now, if we had enough XP, we can actually use an emerald. It'll increase by that. However, since we do not have enough, and waste my XP on it, we have to do it this way. Increase their ammo capacity and all that, like so. And we want to increase our damage plus 7 more damage to it. So. Actually, want fins. We want to avoid water. We got quite a bit of things with it though. Because fence is that one. We don't want to have that though. Sharpening increases more damage. Fire gives us more fire damage by giving more fire. Because melting moss is by doing something with that, but we don't much with it. Requires 2 fish, raw fish, to give us fins. Because it gives you more in there, but since we don't know, we can actually make a little thing for it anyways, so might as well. I think it's like 2 or 3, I think it's 2 or 3, I'm not sure. I think we should be fine with that. Fishing rod. Because we need 2 fish. That's a puffer fish. Not much really, not really that. I need a raw fish, then I can have that, that'll be fine. Here we are. That's what I need. Alright, we got it. We got her. Why is there a pigman? Why is there a fucking pigman? Yeah, one thing's a bit interesting with a pigman. Used to do that. So we have one more modifier we can add to our thing here. We got fins, we got diamond. So more on the, we can shoot normally underwater. Increase sharpening by a bit more damage. We could do output of that, or give us more undead. Give us more undead, we can actually do more. We'd actually use one undead, we give us that much extra bonus to it. Personally, I think we need to get sharpening on it more, anyways. Maybe I don't need the extra grout. I better shut the fishing rod back there anyways. So it gives more damage output. That's why I gotta pay attention to the stats right here. Because it gives us 14 damage by overall. If we get that, it gets the extra point to 15. With both, it gets close to 16 per hit. Makes sense for some of them sometimes, but it's not. The extra undead gives us 7 guaranteed extra damage to the undead. Which we use it for anyways, and also to shoot down gas. So it really depends if we want anyone more extra damage to it or not. I said it's a balancing act for all sakes. I have another quartz there. So, for best logic reasons, we're actually going to add extra 7 onto the undead. There we go. Now, since we actually had since our head is actually quartz, we actually use regular Crusader's quartz to repair it. Same goes with this. Then we need flux to repair it. Unless we have melting moss, which we can actually do it that way. But the melting moss, we need books. We can make leather, make purple, and make a bookshelf and smack it with the XP. And you can put it on there. And for us, wise, it would make sense to do in here, but we got that much durability on this thing. So actually we're fine. So after all that freaking yapping, and it took us roughly an hour busy mucking with Tinker Tools, we're starting to begin the real shit. That's basically going back to what I was explaining. Oy. So, what's our thing? Well, we got everything we needed right now. We can add all the smelter ores right now. What we need, we can smelt the aluminum right now, and we can double it and go into our smelter, which will give us more out of it. Because we need to start making it to make steel. Steel, like I said, you can do a mechanism, immersive, or like Tinkerway, but still the same thing with immersive. So it requires coal and iron. And our iron is not good. So we can make a hammer for extracting, but we really don't need it. Unless you want to clear out the area, we could. But we need iron. And iron is what we need. It makes sense to go down to the mine to mine iron. So we're basically going to do this. Our goal, my goal actually for what we want to do, is I want to get some machinery operational in this stream. We've been busy fucking around with Tinker, which don't get us very fun. But we want to get some machines to working with goddamn progress. So we need mechanism. We got osmium. We got some osmium here. We got don't know which I want to smell osmium. Because osmium, well, we need to get all the parts. It requires steel. That's what our main goal is, steel. So we're going to the mines and try to go for some more of that. And that's what we're doing. We actually store more and all that. That's what our goal is. It's basically mine iron. It's a pain in the ass, but it's freaking how it works with these types of mods. Good or bad, it's still a pain in the ass. Sometimes I just want to play Christmas music, but I think I really cannot because of copyright issuing. Maybe instrumental, but still. So, our goal is basically just mine iron. We don't even fucking have our ores right now. We can manufacture, but rather no, it's just a pain in the ass and gold. But for what we do, what we're doing is most priority is fucking iron. That's the bitch. Is iron, iron and steel and coal. But we got enough coal or charcoal. We can start the fresh batch of that. So let's go. And be careful with this one. Why? Because when we get one slip thinking in aluminum, one slip think can really fuck this over. Yeah, the game much more better, and now since we are smelting that ores, it actually gets into the thing, so that's good. It's a bitch, but it's how progress works with Galacticraft. Anything with freaking iron is gonna hog you. We don't even fucking tin. We just need our main goal is to get iron and aluminum. Because those fuckers are essential. Because when we get to bronze and all that stuff, we have enough copper, but copper is redundant here, so we don't worry about copper. Right now, it's freaking game I'm working on to iron and all that because I want to get some machinery operational, and by doing that, it's basically smelling down goddamn iron. Yeah, it's debatable. I want to play some goddamn Christmas music right now. Or just play my Stellaris music since we're busy just fucking mine around the mines. I mean, we get redundant then, man. I'll put Stellaris music on. When I make my sense? No, but again, I don't worry about copyright. Because copyright's a bitch. I really care about copyright. At times, yes and no, but again, it's like, blah. Just put these guys operational first, so don't worry about that. And we'll go and play damn. We'll play Blatro. I mean, Blatro music is repetitive, and don't get me wrong. Besides, you only have the main theme, Terra, swinging between the two. You want to play on repeat, we don't play on repeat, but again, it gets into your mind. Hindsight, where I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna play Blatro music. I'm gonna stick with goddamn Galacticraft. I'm gonna stick with Stellaris music. Robotics, Sword Awakening, Last Stand of Titan. Beyond is Beyond. I think Quantum Spawn. There we go. Not Quantum Spawn, I know it's freaking more. No, so that. Low note's gonna be a pain in the ass between the two. Maybe just some command and make it with it, but yeah. Spell becomes one or the other, but still is aluminum. We don't need more Osium right now. Just frickin' iron and frickin' aluminum. Yeesh. Ah, fucker. That's the reason why. Since we're doing a high freaking speed video, let's just do this more issue more often. That's gonna be fucking cautious with their fucking iridium. Ugh. That's the reason why I don't want to fucking muck with other haste, because it will really fuck us up. Very bad. Oh, that's my mine. Huh. No wonder why I was that odd, because I found it. Thorium? No, I don't want to look for thorium right now. I have oil again. We have so many oil pockets like crazy around here. Oh, just right above it. Jesus. That charge more searches. Bunch more searches. We got good on searches quartz quite a bit though. Some more iron. We definitely got a good amount of sacks, but still not enough. It's never gonna be enough. This will start the process of gain iron, but mostly just gathering iron as I will. Silicon is another one. Bunch more emeralds up there, which we want. Because emeralds give us more durability. That's when we work on rank up our tools, though. Fuck's sake! Ah! Oh, it's gonna burn my shit. No, no. Ugh. Here's why I fucking want to get fucking goddamn fucking like that amulet, but right now we can't do shit about that until we get fucking bunch of freaking coal. Ugh. Fuck off, man. Watch your fucking step, they say. Fuck off. Lucky no room for all that, luckily. Whoosh. Thankfully I fucking had that much stuff on me. Ugh. Fucking asshole. I like to fucking death trap and I get this shit. Fucking bullshit. Why is there a fucking rat in here? You fucking rat around here. No, fucker! More gold, better. Some gold and iron was better than nothing, so. So I used this backpack, but it's not that anymore. Looks like there's a creeper on your chest one. That's a mimic. Nope, it's not actually. Yep, it's a fucking mimic. You screw you, you cheap ass fuck. I got a belt, I get resistance when I'm hurt by fire, which is nice. But I have a better one on my belt. Be freaking nice to have that one earlier, but no. But it applies resistance. It doesn't give me a resistance. It does, but only temporary. That's a dungeon here. That's a dungeon. That's a dungeon! Quite a bit in this one, holy hell. Spawn egg ender. Oh, goddamn hell yes. We have enemies block away, but gives me goddamn. Give me some freaking emeralds. Oh, yes. See quite a bit having that. Emeralds are also the most expensive one too. Huh, iridium! And 2 golden apples too. Nice. Oh, that's good shards of iridium. Woohoo! More coal, there you go. We have more strain. We have gold. We have empowered by dark steel, but we really can't get much about that. No. That's a monster trap again. Fucking motherfucker! You son of an asshole! Fuck up, you want, you little shit. Ugh, hate those fucking assholes. What give me? Occult evasion, curse of binding, and blast protection. Besides, there's actually some good use between these two, actually. One I can turn to EMC, so I complain. Of course, you gotta deal with that, folks. Doesn't tell you. Yeah. Okay. Well, these are being repaired. I got that much for EMC. Iridium. Oh, hell yes. There's a stone, my thing there, binding. Block of coal, torches, but still. That's becoming EMC value. I've got my phosphor stone, got some iridium, which I'm very happy. There's more aluminum right above the oil. Right above the oil, too. Great. Manganese. I don't need much of that. I think you have fires iron and fucking goddamn fucking. Oh, hello. What you fucking want? Paradise is mostly used for EMC right now, so we don't care about that. Take that though. Why? Because it's much more needed. More iron. Tungsten, I want tungsten, aluminum. We got decent amount of aluminum right now, aren't we? Probably not. Do some of that. Still counts as aluminum to me. Well, there's the fucking two fucking Amazon things going after. Oh, hello, there's natural gas here. Ah, fuck. Map of natural fucking gas. Yay. Not what I want. I was going there before I got fucking really got knocked off. Fell off to my death. Bastards. Just got those back. I'm happy with that. As I have iron there for now. Oh, I'm at the very top of my thing. Oh wow, didn't know we got that high. Didn't know. Aluminum. No, that's rear chest. Useful or junk? 2 tins, more coal, a golden apple, gunpowder, and conduit stuff. Not precisely wanted. But I'll take what I get for that. In the oil! Ah, fucker. So we have for a freaking iron. There's a really good amount of stacks of iron right now. Steel, let's go, yeah, bitch. I think Cat will probably do a few more of iron, but I think we're fine with iron for now. I mostly prioritize on aluminum. Aluminum. You could smelt the gold if you want to, anyways. Oh, hello. It's actually a good spot to be in right now. Very good spot of generation chance because there's crystals. It means there's a chance of a very looted area. One thing about if you have quark installed, you find this area in a cave, you're in good luck because that means there's a bunch of freaking diamonds and freaking emeralds right at the gate for you. Looks like our generation though is a bit out of whack, and so looks like some troubling things for that. So where the fuck does this go down to? It's down traits of natural gas. It's gonna just kill us. I have my slime boots on. I want to go down here and break the hell out of a hood. Yeah, looks like this is a deeper part of the hole. You want to go straight down there. I don't even need to go fuck around because I'm right above the goddamn shit right now. That looks like it is a freaking area. Alright, let's do some scoping then. Because we have a monster box there that's basically triggered. You have a spawner down there. We have another one down here. We have two spawners. And we have some more ore and some bunch of ore emeralds down there. Nice miss. Wow, am I missing? Oh, it's a little freaking little dude. If I was a fucking Karen head, so I just wasted a bunch of my ammo for nothing again. Basically. Of course. Alright. For to not drop down this hell, because it'll be going straight to goddamn fucking natural gas. Oh, it's not very good to get near those fucks. But, here we are now. Actually, another one. Chicken jockey. Oh, Lord, we have a big man here. Woo! Who are you over there? Just the reason why I want smite. Because it kills them easily. Free quartz. More iridium, yes please. Go on apple tree 7. May just want to take one of those. Those are... Oh my god, free diamond and emerald. I'll take that. Iron Mimic. Fuck off. Drop a free diamond out of that, did you? Nope, I didn't put diamond away. Ah. What do we got? We got a block of iron. Energized chloride, which basically is just basically more iron anyways. That's for nuclear craft stuff, really. We got a common diamond axe and a common diamond helmet, which is good for EMC. Good for EMC. Seems we replenished all this EMC stuff. I need better leggings though. I mean, I could just give myself leggings for that, honestly. Because really, just not much to it, really. Just not much in my pants, so might as well give me and just do that. More luck, to increase our luck to 3. Dramatically. What you got from me? More quartz and iron. Dark steel. Do you want to grab some dark steel? Not really. Oh, we have like 2 monster boxes near each other, right near the diamonds. Fuck's sake. That's fucking dangerous. A fucking disaster. Just can't trigger those fucks. There we go. Woo! Ah, Mimic! Ugh. Ah, probably get rid of that for another fire one. I've doubled the fire. No, we don't want to crash there. Mimic! Yeah, why am I trying? It's basically a testing theory anyways, so... Double jump is nice. Both of them's there. I need so much aluminum because one fucking is needed. You have no idea how much fucking aluminum it takes to fucking make a fucking rocket. It's not very cheap. And all of its additional shit. Damn, what else did I mine? What else did I grabbed? More linen and some lead. Yeah, okay. My fire is getting aluminum. Lithium is another rare one, but lithium itself is essential later. What we got? Maybe I should go over there now. Not yet, at least when it gets there it'll lit up. Raw silicon. Alright, let's go into the little looky. Let's see if we can find anything decent around here. I know I will. It's a matter of what. But if you find one of these corners, you have a chance to find a bunch of diamonds. Like no joke. But also a bunch of freaking emeralds. Emeralds also much more valuable in Project E because they actually had because of the EMC value. Very high. Oh no. Oh shit. There's a reason why. Ooh, that's the reason why you don't trigger those fucks. Cause you get that. That's why you don't fucking trigger that. Well, since we have wider space, those are fine. Oh, hello, you're a special one. Oh, we'll deal with you later. You're special and you actually need it. I want to see what you drop. But that fucker's over there and I want to fucking close till he gets close to me. Those fuckers come out of nowhere. Oh, there's a diamond in there somehow. Missed. I think we're good. Definitely got a freaking goddamn iron in our batch at half stack. That'd be good. Lapis on lapis is decent. Got some iridium in our batch for iridium. So not that bad. You have a stack of aluminum, not great, prefer to have more, but aluminum's also not easy to come by. I mean there is until you find a immersive one, but that's I haven't seen that one around yet. Because I need a friend makes an argument. That's a byproduct of aluminum in there. Because we get a bunch of freaking iron. Oh, hello. Why the fuck are you still spawning? And probably up there where the rat is, probably. Oh yeah, that's where I was at the frickin' dungeon. Not yet. Yeah, a bunch of mechs around here. We got enough iron, we have some aluminum. Need more than any of that though, for aluminum. That's a mimic. What you got me? Piston. I know it's a frickin' mimic. Monster box. Free oak chest for gunpowder and sand, but that's much about that. What we got from you? More free torches, I'll take it. Free Certus and our dark steel. We're way good on frickin' goddamn steel, on frickin' iron now. Just need a bunch of coal to start progressing them to get our batch of charcoal going. Oh, he takes care of those fuckers' boxes now. I increased my luck to tier 3 on here. I gotta test this if we get. Oh, we get regular coal anyway, so okay, that's fine. Don't worry about goddamn turning to graphite. So that's fine with me. Meteorite block, we get dilithium, but I think we don't have the right tier for that yet. I mean, we could by getting like a dark matter, but we're nowhere near. Let's get meteorite fluid plus multi-obsidian, multi-siderite fluid. Gives us the cobalt tier and does that much for mining, but goes straight to cobalt. But it's bass though. By using that and some of this would give us that. But using that on fluid plus also with we get iron flux, but that goes mostly into acidorite, which is then already get cobalt, but it's really bad. Meteorite gives us crumbling and pulverizing, which is nice, but it's also bad. Because to get our next tier upgrade, we need to find vibranium, unlikely, or make the process to it to find us to the next upgrade, which is actually next tier up to mine all those. Bit more of a hassling. If I want to go that part, but really honestly I don't think so right now. Oil. Looks like we found our mine shaft. Want to explore it if we could. Give us more loot. How far are we in the maps compared to the other one? Well, we went further north this time. We're near one of the mine shafts compared to the south one. Maybe it's worth exploring there. It's worth it. So around there, we found another amethyst spot, which is basically useless to us. Looks like there's some emerald on top. Mimic. I really get a fair freaking obsidian or nerve sub, but no. Hurts like a bitch every single fucking time. Aluminum. Besides, we can get on this coal part, but yeah. You want to explore? Maybe we could. Just give me all the surface stuff first. Well, that was a good. That was a good vein. Ooh, that was a good vein. Very good vein of aluminum. Alright, let's go up here. Here up, baby. Here up, baby. Yeah, it's coal right there. We need more coal right now, so that's fine. Access to the big part of it. We're at the end of this one, so I actually can put it right there, so that's fine. What we got? Steve's had some free torches, iron, a golden apple, Ceres quartz and bronze stuff. We can actually smelt to get bronze ingot out of that, but I think that's not available yet. So I'm not entirely sure on that part yet, actually. But free torches I'll take, so I'm not gonna play on that. We got a free diamond out of that where? A free coal and a diamond. And a pearl too, but we don't need that much. Before we go down, let's go explore parts of this area before we go back to follow that mine. Dead end, like usual. Alright, down we go. Guess I got to get peace. Probably a mimic. It's not, it's regular chest, but feels like a mimic. Looks like another coal vein, really? I'm not complaining about the coal, but prefer to get so much more other ores besides coal. If it was a low end break, I'll be definitely happier, but nope. Paradise, which basically is a junk gem, really. bad. Looks like it's got a cold right now. Meteorite over there, huh? Ah, fucker! Yeesh. I hate natural gas so bad because it's a fucking bitch. Here we go, of course, for a while. Ah, fucker! Ah! Oh. There's one thing over here, apparently. Alright. Half a stack, some aluminum, we're good. Paradise is junk. Bunch of freaking iron, we are good. We got a good amount of freaking emeralds, I know that too. I think it's a good roll. I think we're ready to get out of here. Oh, there we go. Woo! Now, was that said and done, I gotta pause the music. I gotta pause the music, I used the bathroom bed. How do you do this now? Okay, everyone, I am back. And now with everything back, we should at least start progress on getting steel production operation. And I'll be happy for this session, for the stream. So it's mucking around with tinkers, but still, I'll be happy. Oh yeah, first of course we go up there and get to that. There we go. Alright. Alright. Let's get to it. Since we've got our steel and all our stuff operational, begin process, and our iron should be finished here. Doesn't matter, but what we have it does. Osmium's next. So, as for what we gotta do, besides our freaking aluminum side of things, we need to make coal, and to get coal, need to build a machine, in which we gotta build a coal generator, or a generator. Because no matter what we're doing, we need that. So we need a coal generator, which we need aluminum. We also need aluminum to make the powering. Come think of it. So we need to get some wiring all set up to make the wire. That's marble. Oh, yes. Alright, got some power. At least building of it. Now we need a gen. There we are. Coal gen. And I think copper too, right? Yep, copper. Maybe we gotta make a thing quicker with it. Nope, needs iron. There we go. Cogen! I can start a coal, which is not going to be much effective, but still will do us wondrous. We'll do that. Maybe some more coal for our generator, because that's got quite a bit of it. You put in there, and I actually need to get the blast protection and binding. Iron leggings, get rid of these stuff right here. And that. It's Paradite, Diamond Axe, helmet, leggings. There. So we got some EMC back in there. That makes me happy. Emeralds, we don't need to get that right now. Add that later, but right now we don't need to. So now we got coal gen, we got coal powering up now. And one thing in particular with this one though, you have to put in a certain fucking way, weirdly enough. Now we got coal gen. We want a compressor. We need fabricator. And we get that. We need that. I need that. Because we need a goddamn compressor, we need a fabricator. We got the aluminum lever, right? I'm missing the stone or stone, not bad. There we go. We got that set up. Now we got part of it set up. Now we got server fabrication started up. We need is a compressor. Requires that. Diamond, silicon, redstone, torch, and that. So redstone, we need 2 of them for a torch. And we need raw silicon. We got quite a bit of raw silicon. Quite a half stack of it actually, but still it's better than nothing. And we need to put air there and a diamond. Series on diamond's gonna be very much more needed. And we're getting a basic wafer. There we go, basic wafer. Which you can dense, but costs quite a bit. Basic wafer. We need a compressor, we need advanced. We need compressor itself, which is basically anvil and iron. We have enough iron like crazy, so we don't worry about iron for a while. We begin compressing, but we need to start processing. We got compressor going. Compressing time. This one actually is not needed. It just needs fuel. Which is fine. Basically where you chuck up. That's the reason why you need a bunch of freaking goddamn charcoal. I also think you need the other shit for this though. I think I put too much on the 8, but I'll do that whenever, so. The compressor is not that bad. We just take a process though. Let's begin that air. We getting a server fabrication compressor, we get steel, but we need steel. Steel, we need to begin mechanism. But to start, we need steel first, and to get steel, it's not gonna be easy. Steel ingot is by blast furnace. You want to go that part. Steel ingot by thermal requires steel blend. Steel blend either by pulverizing or manufacturing. So to get that, however, it's not really easy to get done by smelting it. Steel is by casting blazing blood over that or molten steel. Weird. Molten steel can be achieved by using fine steel. By liquefying coal and molten iron. What basically means it's basically burning coal for iron to get steel for us. See again for why we need a bunch of goddamn freaking coal. It's a hog. Oh, I got blood in here. Ah, fucker. That's what I'm talking about. You get blood issues either from people spawning in there. It's a freaking asshole. But we need... liquefying coal, because we need freaking quite a bit of it. And iron. That's how we get our freaking steel right now. At least much more clear than anything, but that's one way to get steel. Steel ingot way, what we're doing is by freaking making a crude blast furnace from immersive, and it takes a long ass time. But for other ones, what we need is mechanism steel, which is much more effective. However, you gotta go for a process. Because mechanism can be done by steel dust, which requires coal and rich iron. And rich iron is by iron. How we get metal confuser? It's by, we can make it right now by doing it. There's another way of doing it, but it requires power. But there's another way of getting steel this early. So anyways, we probably do both anyways with it, so. That's what I need an Osmium for. Now we get making steel this way around. But we need a better power source. Best way to get our steel going is by doing that. Because I got set up like this, making iron and iron. It basically requires a bunch of steel anyways, so. Requires to make steel dust, and that's the other way around. So we're going to get steel multiple ways. We have 7 ingots of it and 2 blocks of iron. Yeesh. Way too much on the coal, but again, it'll give us much of iron. There we go, we have 3 blocks of molten steel out of that, and 2 ingots of iron left. Good ratio. And there we go, we got steel. At least first batch of steel anyways. Not gonna be enough anyways, that's when we said automation prop, as we use a bunch of fucking coal. We should plan to do so, before we move every fucking around and push our shit away. Because we still got a bunch of shit to work with. But that's how much part we're working with. Uranium, tungsten. First, we gotta melt the gold. Must melt the gold to get that done with. Manganese, we don't need that yet. But we do need to get this process on coal. And that we can by doing this. I need my wood shit. And my wood. There we go, now we got charcoal in the make, which will be used for carbon and our steel reasons. Because these fuckers are not cheap. Alright, we got that down. Because like I said, because coal is going to be freaking essential, you have no idea how fucking bad it is. And as for our progress, we're going to do both ways with this. And you want to get steel, a good amount of steel at the gate for this, so that means we basically got to do this and get steel operational. So we need to put that in there and that in there. Now we actually set this correct. We should be going there properly. Then we can put in the chest if we want to. Or make a furnace, but it requires more power. So what we can do is basically just let it go when we can please with it. So by using coal, carbon to get because what we needed, and going back to fusing, we get enriched iron. Enriched iron goes to here. Goes through the same process, same coal into enriched iron. And enriched iron comes out to steel dust, which is used to smelt and to give us steel. Much more effective. Tinker's a bit there, but much more effective doing this way. It's not as cheap as bad as if you have mechanism installed. Requires power. And that was enough to keep this too. So power is our next one. How we get power upgrade? To increase our power, we need to find a better source of it. Either by consistently burning coal, which is not, or using other generation powers. There's many of this mods I added, but the one I use more consistent is wind power, but another one is freaking nuclear craft, but nuclear craft itself is a bit more complicated on power generation and a bit of a pain. Because you need a bunch of stuff, so might as well show you what nuclear craft can do. Since using overhaul is actually much more complicated. But still the same thing. So, what do we need first? Well, we need a manufacturing, really. Manufacturing is get what you need to start off, which requires lead and a copper thing, which is made by copper stuff. You need what you need. To use a manufacturing, it can be used for painting, but it's actually used to make as a pulverizer from thermal. It's just we need to do so. What you get from by able to get silicon is what we need for silicon ingots by going for sand, but that's how that works. But mostly is to get silicon ingot out of silicon. Basically, it's a macerator of all means, really. But it's also a pulverizer, which is used to automate your stuff as well. That's how that works. Separator, but actually, to make the fuel reprocessing, you need alloy furnacing, which actually is much more useful because why? You need to make a certain ore, either by bronze or copper, or steel, like I said, but making pulverized copper and iron, and you get the same thing another way to get steel. That's another way to get steel. But the reason why is fiber boron. You need to find steel dust and fiber boron to give you, well, and get you steel. It's also used to make a block of fiber boron and tough alloys. Tough alloys, or freaking hard carbon, but that's what your graphite. You need to get graphite in there. But tough alloys and fiber boron are mostly your essential ones. And manganese dioride. Lithium makes a bunch of stuff. So tough alloys is used to make a nuclear furnace. Nuclear furnace basically, it makes you what you use, but it's also used to make everything else. The fuel process requires boron. Machine casting is basically part of this reason why to make ingot former. That's part of the reason why it's a bit of a complicated mess. It's also to make this manganese disulfide. To make a manganese casting, it requires steel, tough alloys, and lead. That's why Dev's basically nuts with this. But it's also to make steels by tough alloy and bronze. But there's also a reason why, because it's used to make extreme alloy, which is another different thing, but eh. Tough alloys, like I said, it's a bit more complicated than anything's. But to make our nuclear thing, you get by uranium RTG, basically declares some hash, it produces power, but also radiation. That's why you need a bunch of lead. But for what we need is actually to build a fusion reactor. Fission. Try not to make this too much for it. Because you need a fission reactor conduit. Casing. Which requires basic plating. Which requires graphite and lead. Graphite, as of right now, it's unknown where we get it from. Everybody's like, either like, because as I showed you, it's a bit more complicated, but the only way to get it by separating is by uranium-238, the chance for freaking graphite dust. Which basically need to separate that anyways to get a chance to get anything. Or reprocess it, but really, that's because you either gotta find it or smelt it, but for us, we have to use separator. And the separator is not as bad. It just requires a bunch of steel and all that, because that's what we use to make uranium fuel. Why? Because we need to make uranium fuel is what was our next thing. To power it, you need uranium fuel, which is basically a bunch of it. But I think I didn't get much uranium. But the way to get it is actually by thoron or thorium. We do have uranium here. It's used to make refinery by Tinker's construct ways. It's used to make Tinker industrial crafts uranium. Which is a bit more complicated, but it's actually not as complicated, but much more okay. But what we need is uranium dust, for example. But Because use for this uranium is basically the same as concept, really, but the problem is getting uranium blocks or something, or getting a refueler processor. There we are. By separating uranium ingots, we get your M239, 235. 238 is what to make the LA fuel, which is used to power your reactors. Apparently, you can make it to a casting for some reason. Makes an ingot though. Huh. But a data cache becomes radium dust. Look, a separator is what we need. And I think LAFU is used to get the separator right. Because if we need to make one to get a separator, it will give us uranium-233. It's a bit more painful. Because they all just get graphite, because graphite itself is not very good. But I think thorium is a better one. Because thorium is actually what's used for. Thorium's used as an R-reactive material, but it's also very cheap, and also not as powerful, but it gives you some power. Thorium dust and K-hasher gives this freaking pulverized lead. Really. They used to make uranium block though, but again, it's like another means of fuel. Like I said, Tinker is a bit more complicated with it, but we need to use to make fuel. I think thorium dust is what we need actually. I think I'm gonna think of it. Not really useful, but to find out anyways, it makes thorium chung, which is not really useful. But I give you thorium ingot anyways. That's why it makes a bunch of fuel. Like I said, it's a bit more freaking crazy on freaking like radiation wise for produce power. That's the way to get depleted fuel, but we need another one for that. Oh. Like it's a bit more complicated with thorium, but once we get separated, that's the reason why. Because graphite's actually used to get from other things just for sake of it. Like I said, it's a bit more complicated, but I'm trying not to overdo it. That's for sake of just trying to produce power. But what we're trying to produce power is that way around, but that's for bigger power demand. What we are using it for is actually to make windmills. Windmills is actually much more effective. However, we need to be at a certain length and also a bunch of wire. At a certain height, I meant. Because we're at the Stream Hills plains. Because higher the thing, the much more power we get out of the windmills. Which in our current situation is not as effective. But I digress. Because there's one power to reduce freaking power by Extreme Hills. And that would do well for a freaking like a goddamn power or something like Extreme Hills up here. It's the closest we can get to building more power, but it's a goddamn freaking long ass wire. But that's the best way to get some more power going, so we're now consistently demanding coal. For me, basically explain, that's just basically how this fucking thing goes. So now we got steel, which is essential to begin everything up. So what else we need for Galactic Craft is to get everything up is making compressed steel. That your compressor is what we want, because it makes the less things easier on the fuel demand, but also gives us more use for goddamn freaking everything else. Because the compressor itself requires tin and steel and advanced wafer. Advanced wafer is required from a Riston repeater, which basically is stone and torches. So we want to get this situated. There's always a reason why you keep extra crafting tables everywhere. I think I should use that to make a better one. Alright, advanced crafting. I think I could. Keep forgetting about that, or did I forget about that? Advanced crafting is another one. Unless I don't have it, but advanced crafting table is another good one that basically just makes things much more easier to build. But I think I don't have that anyways. All I do is right there. Crafting table 5 is basically a better variant of this, which means I actually can like put in a book to give us craft all my things automatically from my thing. It's very nice, really. It's very nice. But I don't want to go with that right now. Right now, I think it's gonna be like a real ceiling or something with this. As of right now, we're gonna put it right there. Because we need a stone repeater for everything, really. Yes, we need compressed steel, which we are done. We actually can smelt that into, I think, too. I think our smelter can actually doubles it. I'm not sure on that though. I want to see this before we do anything else, really. I want to get advanced compressor. So that's what I need for it. We got mining, we got resources. Yep, we get this 3 boxes, 3 ingots in there, yeah. It's much more effective to have that into that. That's just only a bit of it. Still not fully done with my steel yet. As you can tell. Yes, 36 of things. I gotta do a few things. There we go. 1 ingot, and that. And I think it's basically 64, but I think it doubled our steel production quite a bit. I want AC to make the advanced wafer so you can compress some steel. Because we need advanced wafer, which is actually quite a bit. But we need advanced wafer to make a compressor. We can make by tin. I think I gotta smelt me some tin. There we go. We got advanced wafer. Now basically just tell the steel into this. I think 6.2. Now it's making compressing the steel into steel plates. Aluminum and bronze are freaking essential, freaking mental things. We should make more progress on there. Probably should make another one for the beginning of the process for Mexican fuser. I have the redstone for it. Just gotta make the goddamn furnaces. Osium, I guess we need that. Guess we need another one to make all of our stuff we need for goddamn frickin' other shit. There's some gold. Got me some tin. Because we need 2 to make 10. Roughly still make a roughly a steel amount anyways. So it doesn't really matter converting to them mixing the blocks. Still. Either way I get like friggin' steel ingots. It's not as really needed, but it's also needed for things later on. But now we got electric compressor. As you can tell, the one thing that's different between is because how the power layup is. It's frickin' irritating, but that's how that works. But now we don't worry about fuel processing, we just gotta worry about fueling that fucker up. And requires redstone is what we need to begin anything in progress up here. First you gotta make a separate thing up here. But yeah, that's basically understanding Galactic Craft stuff and all that. And we got a lot of way to go. I mean, I could actually push it before we show you the NASA thing, actually. But really, we need to get how much of the steel. But I think we're going to worry about getting the power and all that stuff, honestly, before we can begin this space shit. Especially power, because we're basically burning coal for the sake of power. But as of right now, I think we did very well for this stream. I showed you a bit of Galactic Craft. I showed you, understand, Nuclear Craft-ish. I started begin Mechanism. I showed you upgrade on the tools. Actually, I was going to do that. Why? Because I actually could do some bit more because I have some emeralds we can use. Because again, make it increase our lapis. Azul for luck. So let's go and make some of that right away. And I can put my thing there and add increase to there. Which requires beautiful. There we go. We're at the maximum level of luck. So now we're in luck 3. Which is nice. Luck 3. Where's anything else? Oh yeah. Luck 3, and now we're basically higher on the luck and dropping rates. Besides that, I showed you Nuclear Craft, I showed you Galactic Craft. We got some progress. Showed you understanding of the smeltery and its casting. Overall, I think a successful stream what we did here. And I think that's going to be it for this. If you like it, follow and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys